Ethan Carter was a man who seemed to have it all. As the CEO of a thriving tech company, he had built an empire from scratch, working tirelessly to ensure his name became synonymous with success. But behind the polished suits and boardroom victories lay a quieter truth. Ethan was also a single father raising his spirited 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Balancing work and parenthood wasn't easy, but Ethan prided himself on doing everything in his power to give Lily the best life possible. One late afternoon, as Ethan sat at his sleek glass desk surrounded by stacks of papers and glowing computer screens, his phone buzzed incessantly with emails and calls. It was the kind of day where multitasking felt like second nature, though not always without consequences. On this particular evening, Ethan found himself juggling yet another responsibility: enrolling Lily into a prestigious private school known for its academic excellence and elite alumni network. The application deadline loomed large, and Ethan knew there was no room for delay. With one hand typing responses to urgent client queries and the other scrolling through the online enrollment form, Ethan barely glanced at the screen before hitting submit. Relief washed over him as the confirmation email arrived moments later. "Done," he muttered under his breath, leaning back in his chair and exhaling deeply. For once, something hadn't slipped through the cracks. Or so he thought. The next morning, while sipping his coffee and reviewing his calendar, Ethan noticed 2 separate confirmation emails sitting side by side in his inbox. One was from the exclusive private school he'd intended to enroll Lily in, a place where tuition rivaled some college fees. The other came from Maple Grove Elementary, a modest public school located across town. Confusion clouded Ethan's face as he reread the details. Somehow, amidst the chaos of the previous night, he had accidentally submitted Lily's application to the wrong institution, and now she was officially enrolled. Panic set in almost immediately. How could this happen? Ethan groaned aloud, running, a hand through his already disheveled hair. He envisioned the pristine halls of the private academy, filled with children destined for greatness, and contrasted them with the image of a public school struggling against budget cuts and outdated textbooks. This wasn't what he wanted for Lily, yet transferring her out wouldn't be as simple as filling out another form. Bureaucratic red tape meant weeks or even months of waiting before anything could change. For days, Ethan wrestled with his options. Should he pull strings to expedite the transfer process? What message would that send to Lily if he uprooted her shortly after starting somewhere new? And then there was the matter of logistics. With his demanding schedule, finding time to sort out the paperwork seemed nearly impossible. Frustrated, but determined to make the best of the situation, Ethan decided to let Lily begin at Maple Grove temporarily. After all, how bad could it really be? Little did Ethan know Maple Grove Elementary wasn't just any ordinary public school. Nestled in a quiet neighborhood, it radiated warmth despite its lack of resources. The teachers were passionate individuals, committed to nurturing young minds, and among them was Sophia Martinez, a bright-eyed educator whose enthusiasm lit up every corner of the building. Sophia had grown up attending schools much like Maple Grove, and she carried those experiences with her as fuel for her career. To her, teaching wasn't just a job, it was a calling. As the start of the school year approached, Sophia prepared diligently for her incoming class. She decorated her classroom with colorful posters and motivational quotes, ensuring each student would feel welcomed and inspired. When Lily's name appeared on her roster, accompanied by a note indicating she was new to the area, Sophia made a mental note to pay extra attention to her during the first few weeks. Helping newcomers adjust was part of what made teaching so rewarding. On Lily's first day, Ethan arrived at Maple Grove wearing his usual tailored suit, looking distinctly out of place among the casual attire of other parents dropping off their kids. His polished leather shoes clicked against the worn linoleum floors as he followed the signs pointing toward room 12, where Sophia waited patiently outside her door. Her warm smile softened the edges of Ethan's anxiety, offering a small measure of reassurance. "Good morning. You must be Mr. Carter," Sophia greeted him cheerfully, extending a hand. "And this lovely young lady must be Lily." Ethan shook her hand briefly, noticing how effortlessly kind she seemed. "Yes, that's right. Thank you for welcoming her. I apologize if we're a bit unprepared. His tone carried a hint of awkwardness, betraying his discomfort with the unfamiliar setting. Sophia chuckled lightly. No need to worry. We'll take good care of her here. As Ethan watched Lily step inside the classroom, his heart swelled with pride, and maybe a touch of guilt. Despite his reservations about the school, he couldn't deny that Sophia exuded a genuine warmth that put both him and Lily at ease. For a brief moment, he allowed himself to wonder whether this accidental detour might hold hidden value after. All over the next few days, Ethan visited Maple Grove more frequently than he originally planned. Each trip revealed new facets of the school's character, the laughter echoing down the hallways, the creative projects displayed proudly on bulletin boards, and the sense of camaraderie shared by staff and students alike. Though far removed from the polished environment of the private academy he'd envisioned, Maple Grove possessed a charm that slowly chipped away at Ethan's skepticism. Lily, too, adapted quickly to her surroundings. She returned home each afternoon bubbling with stories about her classmates and the fun activities they did in class. "Ms. Martinez is so nice, Daddy," she exclaimed one evening over dinner. "She helped me spell my name really big on the chalkboard today." Hearing such excitement in his daughter's voice gave Ethan pause. Perhaps this temporary arrangement wasn't as disastrous as he'd feared. Still, doubts lingered in the back of his mind. Could a school like Maple Grove truly prepare Lily for the future he dreamed of for her? Or was he simply clinging to old notions of prestige and status? Unbeknownst to Ethan, Sophia observed these visits with growing curiosity. There was something endearing about the way he hovered protectively over Lily, asking thoughtful questions and taking notes during parent-teacher meetings. Beneath his polished exterior, Sophia sensed vulnerability. A man trying his best to navigate the complexities of fatherhood while shouldering immense professional responsibilities. Their interactions remained professional, yet sparks of connection began to flicker between them. Whether discussing curriculum updates or brainstorming ideas for community events, Ethan and Sophia discovered shared values and mutual respect. Neither dared acknowledge the subtle attraction simmering beneath the surface, but both looked forward to their encounters more than they cared to admit. And so what started as an accidental enrollment unfolded into something neither Ethan nor Sophia could have anticipated. Amidst mismatched expectations and unforeseen challenges, the seeds of friendship and perhaps something more were quietly planted. Only time would tell where this unexpected journey might lead. Lily's first day at Maple Grove Elementary arrived with a mix of excitement and nervousness for both her and Ethan. That morning, Ethan woke up earlier than usual, determined to make sure everything went smoothly. He helped Lily pick out her favorite dress, a bright yellow one with tiny flowers, and packed her lunchbox with care, adding an extra cookie as a little treat for her big day. As they drove to the school, Ethan glanced at Lily in the rearview mirror. Her small hands clutched her new backpack tightly, but her eyes sparkled with anticipation. When they pulled into the parking lot of Maple Grove, Ethan felt a pang of unease. The building looked nothing like the gleaming private schools he'd toured months ago. Paint peeled slightly around the edges of the windows and the playground equipment showed signs of wear. Still, there was something undeniably inviting about the place. The cheerful murals painted on the walls, the sound of children laughing as they ran across the yard, and the friendly waves from parents chatting near the entrance. Inside, Room 12 buzzed with energy. Students milled around, introducing themselves to one another while Ms. Martinez stood at the doorway, greeting each child and their family with a warm smile. When Ethan and Lily approached, Sophia immediately knelt down, to Lily's level, her voice soft and reassuring. "Hi there. You must be Lily. I'm so happy you're joining our class today." Lily hesitated for a moment before nodding shyly. "Hi," she said, clutching Ethan's hand even tighter. Ethan gave her fingers a gentle squeeze, silently urging her to take the next step. Sophia noticed the bond between father and daughter instantly. There was no mistaking the love in Ethan's eyes as he watched Lily interact with this unfamiliar world. She rose to her feet and extended a hand toward him. And you must be Mr. Carter. Welcome to Maple Grove." Ethan shook her hand, feeling oddly out of place in his tailored suit amidst the casual jeans and sneakers worn by other parents. "Thank you," he replied, his tone polite but guarded. "I appreciate you taking such good care of her." "It's my pleasure," Sophia assured him. "We're going to have a great year together. Why don't you come inside and meet some of the other kids?" Reluctantly, Ethan followed Sophia into the classroom, his gaze sweeping over the space. Posters of the alphabet and numbers adorned the walls, alongside colorful drawings created by previous students. A reading corner filled with mismatched pillows invited young imaginations to explore new worlds, while science experiments lined a shelf near the back. Though far from luxurious, the room radiated warmth and creativity. As Ethan settled Lily into her seat, Sophia introduced her to two classmates sitting nearby, Emma, a bubbly girl with curly hair, and Jake, a quiet boy who loved dinosaurs. Within minutes, the trio was giggling over a shared puzzle game, leaving Ethan momentarily forgotten. Watching Lily laugh so freely brought a lump to his throat. He hadn't expected her to adjust so quickly, or for the sight of her happiness, to stir emotions he rarely allowed himself to feel. Before heading out, Ethan lingered by the door, exchanging a few more words with Sophia. "She seems comfortable already," he remarked, his voice softer now. "You've done a wonderful job setting up the classroom." "Thank you," Sophia replied with a modest smile. "It helps when you have amazing kids like Lily. She's going to fit right in here." Her confidence surprised Ethan. Most people would assume someone in his position wouldn't give a second thought to a public school like Maple Grove. Yet Sophia didn't treat him differently because of his title or appearance. Instead, she spoke to him as if they were equals, two adults united by a common goal, doing what's best for Lily. Over the next few days, Ethan found himself visiting Maple Grove more often than necessary. Sometimes it was to drop off forgotten items like water bottles or library books. Other times, he simply wanted to check on how Lily was adjusting. Each visit deepened his appreciation for the school and for Sophia. He couldn't help noticing how effortlessly she connected with her students, treating each one as though they were uniquely special. Whether helping a struggling reader sound out difficult words or encouraging a shy artist to share their masterpiece, Sophia embodied patience and kindness in ways that left Ethan awestruck. Their conversations grew longer and more personal with each encounter. One afternoon, after Lily joined her friends for recess, Sophia invited Ethan to sit at a small table near the window. "How's work been?" she asked casually, pouring them both cups of coffee from a thermos she kept in the corner. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Are teachers allowed to drink coffee during school hours?" Sophia laughed, the sound light and musical. "Technically, probably not, but between you and me, it's essential for survival." Her humor disarmed him, making it easier to open up. For the first time in years, Ethan talked about his struggles, not just as a CEO navigating corporate challenges, but as a single dad trying to balance ambition with parenthood. Sophia listened intently, nodding along and offering thoughtful responses. In turn, she shared stories about growing up in a tight-knit community where everyone pitched in to support one another. Her passion for education stemmed from those early experiences, she explained, and fueled her desire to create a nurturing environment for her students. As the weeks passed, Ethan began attending events he might otherwise have skipped entirely. Parent-teacher conferences, field trips, and even volunteer opportunities became part of his routine. At first, his presence drew curious glances from other parents, many of whom whispered among themselves about the wealthy businessman mingling with regular folks. But Ethan paid them little mind. What mattered most was seeing Lily thrive and realizing that Maple Grove offered something money couldn't buy, a sense of belonging. Lily, too, embraced her new life wholeheartedly. Every evening, she regaled Ethan with tales of her adventures at school. "Ms. Martinez taught us how to make slime today," she announced one night, holding up a jar of glittery goo. "And guess what? Mine didn't explode." Ethan chuckled, marveling at how much joy such simple activities brought her. He remembered his own childhood, spent poring over textbooks and striving for perfection. While academic success had opened doors for him, it had also robbed him of moments like these, moments filled with wonder and discovery. One Saturday morning, Ethan received an email from Sophia inviting him to participate in a fundraising event aimed at improving the school's arts program. Initially hesitant, he agreed after Lily pleaded with him to attend. "Please, Daddy, it'll be fun," she insisted, batting her eyelashes dramatically. The event turned out to be a delightful affair held in the school gymnasium. Families gathered to enjoy live performances, bake sales, and art exhibits showcasing student talent. Ethan wandered through the displays, impressed by the creativity on display, despite limited resources. When Sophia approached him later that evening, thanking him for coming, Ethan surprised himself by saying, "This is incredible. How can I help?" His offer caught Sophia off guard. "Really? You'd want to contribute?" "Absolutely," Ethan replied without hesitation. "Maple Grove deserves better than outdated supplies and crumbling facilities. If I can make a difference, I will." For the rest of the night, Ethan and Sophia brainstormed ideas for future initiatives. They discussed potential partnerships with local businesses, grant applications, and creative ways to engage the community. By the time the event ended, Ethan realized he hadn't thought about work emails or board meetings once. Instead, he felt invigorated, alive in a way he hadn't experienced in years. Driving home that evening, Ethan glanced at Lily sleeping peacefully in the passenger seat. Her face glowed with contentment, a stark contrast to the tension he used to see whenever he dragged her to networking dinners or formal galas. For the first time, Ethan understood that success wasn't measured solely by titles or bank accounts. It was about creating meaningful connections with others, with your community, and most importantly, with yourself. Though he still planned to transfer Lily eventually, Ethan couldn't deny the impact Maple Grove and Sophia had made on their lives. Something told him this accidental enrollment might lead to changes neither of them could have predicted. And for once, he welcomed the uncertainty with open arms. As the weeks turned into months, Ethan's presence at Maple Grove became a familiar sight. What had started as sporadic visits to check on Lily evolved into something deeper, a genuine connection with the school and its community. He found himself volunteering more often, whether it was helping chaperone field trips, organizing book drives, or even coaching a makeshift soccer team during recess. Each interaction brought him closer to understanding the unique charm of Maple Grove and closer to Sophia. Sophia, too, noticed the subtle shift in their relationship. At first, she'd been cautious around Ethan, aware of the vast differences in their worlds. He was a high-powered CEO who moved through life with precision and purpose, while she was a teacher whose days were filled with crayons, glue sticks, and endless patience. Yet, despite these contrasts, they shared something profound, a deep commitment to children and a desire to make a difference. Their conversations grew less formal and more personal, revealing layers of vulnerability neither had expected. One crisp autumn afternoon, Ethan arrived at the school earlier than usual. It was a Friday, and he'd promised Lily he'd stay for the weekly storytelling session in her class. As he walked down the hallway, he spotted Sophia crouched near a bulletin board, pinning up colorful drawings made by her students. She wore jeans and a cozy sweater, her dark hair tied back in a loose ponytail. There was an easiness about her that Ethan admired, the way she seemed completely at home in this environment surrounded by laughter and chatter. "Need a hand?" Ethan asked, approaching her with a smile. Sophia glanced up, surprised but pleased to see him. "Sure. These papers are being stubborn," she joked, holding up a drawing that refused to stay straight. Together they worked to arrange the artwork, neatly, their hands occasionally brushing against each other as they reached for pins or adjusted corners. The moment felt oddly intimate, though neither acknowledged it aloud. When the task was done, Sophia stepped back to admire their work. "Perfect," she said with satisfaction. "The kids will love seeing their art displayed like this." "They should be proud," Ethan replied. "You've created such a welcoming space for them. I can tell how much effort you put into everything." Sophia shrugged modestly. It's not just me. The whole staff works hard to make this place special, but thank you, it means a lot coming from you. Her words lingered in the air, carrying a weight neither could ignore. For all his wealth and influence, Ethan rarely received compliments. That felt so sincere. Most people praised him out of obligation or flattery, but Sophia's gratitude was heartfelt, unfiltered. It made him want to do more, to prove he wasn't just another distant executive throwing money at problems. Their conversation continued as they headed toward the classroom. Along the way, Ethan opened up about his struggles balancing work and parenthood. I used to think success meant climbing higher and faster, he admitted. But lately I've realized I've missed so much, like bedtime stories or teaching Lily how to ride a bike. Those moments matter more than any boardroom victory. Sophia listened intently, nodding along. It's never too late to start, she said gently. Lily adores you, Ethan. You're doing great. Her use of his first name caught him off guard, sending a shiver down his spine. It felt natural, yet charged with meaning. Thanks, Sophia, he murmured, meeting her gaze. That really means a lot. In the classroom, the storytelling session began with Sophia reading a lively picture book about friendship and teamwork. The children sat cross-legged on the floor, completely captivated, while Ethan leaned against the wall watching silently. His eyes drifted between Lily, who grinned widely every time Sophia animatedly changed voices for different characters, and Sophia herself, whose passion for teaching radiated brighter than ever. For the first time in years, Ethan allowed himself to simply be present, to savor the joy unfolding before him without worrying about deadlines or emails. Afterward, as the kids scattered to play outside, Ethan approached Sophia. You're amazing with them, he said sincerely. I don't know how you keep your energy up all day. She laughed softly. Coffee helps, and honestly, seeing their faces light up makes everything worth it. Ethan hesitated, then added, I've been thinking, maybe there's more I can do here, not just financially but actively. I want to help however I can. Sophia's expression softened. That's wonderful, Ethan. Your support means so much, not just to me but to everyone here. Just promise me one thing. What's that? That you won't lose sight of why you started caring in the first place. This isn't about fixing things, it's about building something together. Her words struck a chord within him. Building something together. That's exactly what he wanted, though he hadn't fully admitted it to himself until now. Whether it was improving the school or exploring whatever this growing bond between them might become, Ethan knew he didn't want to let go. Meanwhile, Lily thrived under Sophia's guidance. Her confidence soared as she discovered new talents and interests. One day she proudly announced to Ethan that she wanted to write a story, just like the ones Ms. Martinez read in class. Inspired, Ethan helped her brainstorm ideas, sitting beside her at the kitchen table as she scribbled sentences in crayon on lined paper. When she finished, she begged him to take her to school early so she could show it to Sophia. Standing in the doorway of the classroom, Ethan watched as Lily handed over her storybook, her cheeks flushed with pride. Sophia flipped through the pages, her eyes widening with delight. This is incredible, Lily, she exclaimed. You're such a talented writer. Lily beamed, glancing at Ethan for approval. He gave her a thumbs up, feeling a swell of pride that nearly overwhelmed him. Later, Sophia pulled him aside. She's got real potential, she said, earnest face. As Ethan grew more involved at Maple Grove, balancing his responsibilities as a CEO and a father became increasingly challenging. The demands of his company loomed larger than ever when news broke that a rival tech firm was attempting a hostile takeover of Carter Innovations. Suddenly, Ethan found himself consumed by meetings, strategy sessions, and late-night negotiations. His once frequent visits to the school dwindled, replaced by frantic phone calls and emails apologizing for missed events. At first, Lily didn't seem too bothered by her dad's absence. She was busy thriving in Sophia's class, making friends, and exploring new hobbies. But as the weeks passed, she began to notice Ethan's growing distance. He wasn't there for the science fair where she proudly presented her handmade volcano. He skipped the parent-teacher conference where Sophia shared glowing remarks about Lily's progress. And worst of all, he missed the school play, a production of The Jungle Adventure, in which Lily played the lead role of the brave explorer. On the night of the play, Lily stood backstage in her costume, peeking through the curtains for any sign of her dad. When the final curtain fell and Ethan still hadn't shown up, her disappointment turned into quiet tears. Sophia noticed immediately and knelt beside her after the performance. "Hey, sweetheart," she said softly, wiping away a stray tear. "You were absolutely amazing tonight. Your dad would have been so proud," Lily sniffled. "But he promised he'd come." Sophia hesitated, unsure how to respond. She knew Ethan had been dealing with enormous stress, but she also understood how much his presence meant to Lily. "Sometimes grown-ups get really busy," she explained gently. "It doesn't mean he loves you any less. Maybe we can find a way to remind him how important these moments are." That evening, Sophia sent Ethan a brief text. "Lily did beautifully in the play today. She worked so hard, and I know she missed having you there." The message hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. Guilt washed over him as he replayed the countless promises he'd made to Lily, and broken in recent weeks. For the first time, he questioned whether his relentless pursuit of success was worth sacrificing the very things that mattered most. The next morning, Ethan arrived at Maple Grove during recess, determined to make amends. He spotted Lily on the playground, laughing with Emma and Jake as they chased each other around the jungle gym. Approaching cautiously, he called out, "Hey, adventurer, mind if I join you?" Lily froze mid-step, her smile fading slightly. "You're here," she said flatly, her tone betraying a mix of surprise and skepticism. "I am," Ethan replied, kneeling down to her level. "And I'm sorry I missed your big night. I know I promised I'd be there, and I let you down." Lily crossed her arms, mimicking a stubborn pose she'd likely picked up from one of her cartoons. "You always say you'll come, but then you don't." Her words stung, but Ethan deserved them. "You're right," he admitted. "I've been letting work take over, and that's not fair to you. From now on, I'll do better. No excuses." To his relief, Lily's expression softened. "Promise?" "Promise," Ethan said firmly, pulling her into a tight hug. Over her shoulder, he caught Sophia watching from a distance, her arms folded and a small, approving smile on her face. Their eyes met briefly before she turned away, giving them space to reconnect. While Ethan worked to rebuild trust with Lily, tensions simmered elsewhere within the Maple Grove community. News of his involvement in fundraising efforts and rumors of his potential financial contributions spread quickly among parents and staff. Some welcomed the idea of additional resources, while others worried it might create inequality or dependency on outside help. A few teachers voiced concerns during a faculty meeting, questioning whether accepting support from someone like Ethan could compromise the school's values. Sophia found herself caught in the middle of the debate. On one hand, she believed Ethan's intentions were genuine. He genuinely cared about improving the school for everyone. On the other hand, she understood the fears of her colleagues, many of whom had dedicated their lives to serving underprivileged students without expecting recognition or reward. The last thing she wanted was for Ethan's generosity to alienate anyone, or worse, make him feel unwelcome. One afternoon, Sophia decided to address the issue head-on. After school, she invited Ethan to join her for coffee at a nearby cafe. They sat across from each other at a small table, the hum of conversation around them providing a comforting backdrop. "I need to talk to you about something," Sophia began, stirring sugar into her cup. "There's been some discussion among the staff about your involvement here. Not everyone is comfortable with the idea of external funding, especially from someone in your position." Ethan frowned, leaning back in his chair. "Are people worried I'm trying to buy influence or something?" "It's not that simple," Sophia explained. "Some fear it might create divisions, like certain programs getting preferential treatment because of your donations. Others worry it could undermine the school's identity." Ethan nodded slowly, absorbing her words. "I never intended to cause trouble. I just want to help. I know that, Sophia said earnestly, and I think most people do too. But we have to approach this carefully. If we're going to move forward, it needs to be done in a way that respects everyone's concerns. Her honesty touched him. What do you suggest? Sophia thought. For a moment. How about starting small? Instead of grand gestures, focus on initiatives that benefit the entire school equally. Maybe organize workshops or mentorship programs where you share your expertise directly with students and families. That way, your contribution feels collaborative rather than transactional. Ethan smiled, impressed by her thoughtfulness. You're incredible, you know that? Sophia blushed, brushing off the compliment. Just trying to keep the peace. Their conversation shifted to lighter topics, but the underlying tension remained. Both knew they were navigating uncharted territory, balancing personal feelings with professional responsibilities. Despite the challenges, neither regretted stepping into this complicated dance. In fact, the obstacles only deepened their connection, forcing them to confront difficult truths about themselves and the world they inhabited. Back at home, Ethan reflected on everything that had transpired. The guilt of missing Lily's play weighed heavily on him, but so did the realization that he couldn't continue living two separate lives, one devoted to work and another to family. Something had to give. As he tucked Lily into bed that night, he kissed her forehead and whispered, "Tomorrow's a new day, okay? We'll figure it out together." Lily yawned sleepily, clutching her stuffed bunny. "Okay, Daddy." Watching her drift off, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Maple Grove and Sophia had taught him that success wasn't measured by titles or bank accounts. It was about showing up, staying present, and building something meaningful. For the first time in years, he felt ready to embrace that truth fully, even if it meant facing uncertainty along the way. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of emotions for Ethan. The hostile takeover attempt at Carter Innovations reached a critical stage, demanding every ounce of his energy and focus. Sleepless nights became the norm as he pored over legal documents, strategized with his team, and fielded calls from investors and board members. Yet amidst the chaos, Ethan couldn't shake the image of Lily's tear-streaked face after the school play, or Sophia's quiet but firm reminder about balancing priorities. One particularly grueling evening, Ethan sat slumped in his office chair, staring blankly at a spreadsheet on his computer screen. His mind kept drifting back to Maple Grove, the laughter of children echoing through the halls, the colorful murals adorning the walls, and Sophia's unwavering dedication to her students. He realized how disconnected he'd become, not just from Lily but from himself. Somewhere along the way, he had lost sight of what truly mattered, being present for the people who needed him most. Determined to make a change, Ethan began carving out time for Lily and the school, no matter how busy his schedule got. He started small, attending morning drop-offs whenever possible, reading bedtime stories instead of working late, and making sure to listen when Lily excitedly recounted her day. These moments may have seemed insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but they added up, rebuilding the bond between father and daughter brick by brick. Meanwhile, Sophia faced her own internal struggles. Though she admired Ethan's growing commitment to Maple Grove, doubts lingered in her mind. Was it fair to blur the lines between professional and personal relationships? What would others think if they saw her spending so much time with a man whose wealth and status far exceeded anything she could ever imagine? More importantly, was she ready to open her heart to someone again after years of focusing solely on her career? These questions weighed heavily on her as she prepared for an upcoming community meeting at the school. Ethan had agreed to attend, eager to discuss new ideas for improving the arts program. As Sophia organized materials for the presentation, she found herself glancing at the clock more often than usual, anticipating his arrival. When he finally walked into the room, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, her pulse quickened slightly. She greeted him warmly, masking her nerves with professionalism. "Thanks for coming," she said, handing him a folder filled with notes. "I think we've got some great ideas to share tonight." Ethan smiled, his eyes lingering on hers for a moment longer than necessary. "Couldn't miss it. Besides, I owe you and this school a lot. Their interaction didn't go unnoticed. A few parents exchanged curious glances, whispering quietly among themselves. While most were supportive of Ethan's involvement, others remained wary, questioning whether his presence signaled a shift in power dynamics within the school. Sophia sensed the tension but chose to address it head-on during the meeting. "We're here today because we all care deeply about Maple Grove and its students," she began, standing at the front of the room. "Mr. Carter has generously offered his support to help enhance our programs, but let me be clear. This is a collaborative effort. Every decision will be made with input from teachers, parents, and, of course, the kids. Our goal is to strengthen the foundation we've built together, not replace it." Her words earned nods of approval from the audience, easing some of the skepticism in the air. Ethan listened intently, impressed by Sophia's ability to navigate delicate situations with grace and transparency. When it was his turn to speak, he kept his remarks brief and heartfelt. "I know I don't come from the same background as many of you," he admitted, looking around the room, "and I understand why some might question my motives. But I want you to know that my only goal is to give back, to a place that's given so much to my daughter and me. This isn't about charity, it's about partnership. Together we can create opportunities that benefit everyone." His sincerity resonated with the crowd, softening even the harshest critics. By the end of the meeting, several parents approached Ethan to thank him for his willingness to engage openly. For the first time, he felt like he belonged, not as a wealthy outsider, but as part of a community united by shared values. After the meeting, Ethan and Sophia stayed behind to tidy up the classroom. The room was dimly lit, save for the soft glow of a desk lamp casting warm shadows across the walls. They worked silently at first, stacking chairs and gathering stray papers, until Sophia broke the silence. "You handled that really well," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "People needed to hear what you said tonight." Ethan shrugged modestly. "It's the truth. I've learned a lot since Lily started here, including how to listen." Sophia paused, studying him carefully. "You've changed, Ethan. In a good way." He chuckled softly. "Is that your polite way of saying I used to be insufferable?" She laughed, shaking her head. "No, it's my honest way of saying I'm proud of you. Not everyone would take the time to grow like you have." Her compliment caught him off guard, stirring emotions he wasn't prepared to confront. "Thank you, Sophia," he said quietly. "That means more than you know." They locked eyes. For a moment, the air thick with unspoken feelings. Neither moved, neither spoke, yet the connection between them felt undeniable. It was as if all the barriers they'd erected, professional boundaries, personal insecurities, societal expectations, had dissolved, leaving only raw honesty in their place. Finally, Sophia cleared her throat, breaking the spell. "Well, I should probably get going early morning tomorrow." "Right," Ethan replied, snapping back to reality. "Of course." As they walked to the parking lot together, the night air crisp and cool, Ethan hesitated before opening his car door. "Sophia," he called out, turning to face her. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," she said, tilting her head curiously. "What do you think about grabbing dinner sometime? Just as friends, of course." Sophia smiled, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I think that sounds nice. Friends." "Great," Ethan said, relief washing over him. "I'll call you." With that, they parted ways, each carrying a sense of hope they hadn't felt in a long time. For Ethan, it was the promise of rediscovering joy outside the confines of his corporate world. For Sophia, it was the possibility of letting someone in after years of keeping her guard up. Both knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time they were willing to take the risk. Back at home, Ethan tucked Lily into bed, humming a lullaby she loved. As she drifted off to sleep, he reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the accidental enrollment at Maple Grove to the challenges of balancing work and family, every twist and turn had shaped him in ways he never expected. He thought about Sophia, too. Her kindness, her resilience, her belief in doing what was right even when it was hard. For the first time in years, Ethan allowed himself to dream, not of promotions or stock prices, but of a future where love, purpose, and connection took center stage. Whatever lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain: Maple Grove, and the people within it, had already changed his life forever. The weeks that followed Ethan's dinner invitation to Sophia were filled with quiet yet meaningful moments. Their first outing was simple, a cozy Italian restaurant tucked away in a quiet corner of town. Over plates of pasta and glasses of wine, they talked for hours about everything and nothing. Lily's latest obsession with painting, Sophia's dream of starting an after-school art club, Ethan's memories of his own childhood. The conversation flowed effortlessly, as if they'd known each other for years rather than months. What started as a casual friendship quickly deepened into something more. Ethan found himself looking forward to their meetings, not just because of the laughter and connection they shared, but because Sophia reminded him of the person he wanted to be: grounded, compassionate, and present. For her part, Sophia admired Ethan's willingness to grow and adapt, qualities she hadn't expected from someone in his position. Together, they discovered a rhythm that felt natural and fulfilling. Their relationship didn't go unnoticed. At Team Maple Grove, whispers spread among parents and teachers about the CEO who seemed to spend as much time at the school as he did in boardrooms. Some teased Sophia good-naturedly, while others remained cautious, unsure how to reconcile her involvement with a man whose lifestyle seemed so different from theirs. But Sophia paid little attention to the gossip. What mattered most was how Ethan treated her, and how he continued to show up for Lily and the school. One sunny Saturday morning, Ethan joined Sophia and a group of volunteers to repaint the exterior of Maple Grove. Armed with brushes and rollers, they worked side by side under the bright blue sky, laughing as paint splattered onto their clothes. Ethan had never done anything like this before. Manual labor wasn't exactly part of his usual routine, but he relished the simplicity of it. There was something satisfying about seeing immediate results, stroke by stroke, as the old building transformed into a vibrant beacon of hope. Lily ran around the yard with her friends, occasionally stopping to check on her dad's progress. "You're doing great, Daddy," she called out, giggling when he accidentally smeared a streak of green across his cheek. Sophia approached him later, holding a cup of lemonade. "Looking good," she teased, gesturing toward his paint-smeared shirt. "Maybe we should hire you full-time," Ethan grinned, wiping his hands on a rag. "I might take you up on that, though I doubt I'd pass the teacher certification exam." She laughed, sitting beside him on the grass. "You'd make a pretty decent assistant, though." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the kids play and the volunteers chat animatedly. It was during moments like these that Ethan felt most at peace, away from the pressures of work, surrounded by people who cared deeply about one another. He glanced at Sophia, her hair catching the sunlight, and realized he couldn't imagine his life without her anymore. As the school year drew to a close, Ethan faced a decision he'd been dreading: whether to transfer Lily to the private academy he'd originally chosen or keep her enrolled at Maple Grove permanently. On paper, the choice seemed obvious. The private school offered advanced academics, state-of-the-art facilities, and prestigious alumni networks. But in his heart, Ethan knew the answer lay elsewhere. One evening, as he helped Lily pack her backpack, for the final week of classes, he asked her casually, "Hey kiddo, what do you think about staying at Maple Grove next year?" Lily looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. "Really? You mean I don't have to leave Ms. Martinez and my friends?" "Only if you want to stay," Ethan replied, smiling softly. "It's your call." Lily threw her arms around him, hugging him tightly. "I love it here, Daddy. Please let me stay." Her enthusiasm sealed the deal. That night, Ethan sent an email withdrawing Lily's application from the private school. He also drafted a letter to the Maple Grove administration, pledging ongoing support, not just financially but through active participation in the school's activities. It was a promise he intended to keep, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely believed in the value of community. The last day of school arrived with bittersweet emotions. Students exchanged hugs and handmade cards, promising to stay in touch over summer break. In Sophia's classroom, Ethan stood near the door observing as Lily presented her teacher with a carefully crafted gift, a framed drawing of the two of them surrounded by hearts. "This is for you, Miss Martinez," Lily said proudly. "Thank you for making this the best year ever." Sophia accepted the gift with tears in her eyes. "Oh, Lily, this is beautiful. Thank you so much." Ethan stepped forward then, clearing his throat nervously. "Actually, Sophia, I wanted to say thank you too. Not just for what you've done for Lily, but for everything you've taught me. About patience, kindness, and finding joy in the little things." Sophia blushed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You're welcome, Ethan. But honestly, you've taught me a lot too." Their eyes met, and for a brief moment, the noise of the classroom faded away. When Ethan leaned in to kiss her gently on the cheek, no one seemed surprised. Not even Lily, who grinned mischievously and whispered, "Finally." That summer marked a new chapter for Ethan, Lily, and Sophia. Ethan officially became a member of the Maple Grove Advisory Board, using his resources to secure grants and sponsor programs that benefited the entire school. Under Sophia's guidance, the arts program flourished, inspiring students to express themselves creatively. And Ethan and Sophia's relationship blossomed into something steady and real, built on mutual respect and shared dreams. For Lily, life couldn't have been better. She spent her days exploring nature, creating art, and playing with her friends, all while knowing her dad was nearby whenever she needed him. One afternoon, as they picnicked in the park, she turned to Ethan and asked, "Daddy, are we happy now?" Ethan looked at her, then at Sophia, who sat beside him smiling, and nodded. "Yes, sweetheart, we're very happy." And for the first time in a long time, he truly meant it. What had started as an accidental enrollment had transformed into a journey of growth, connection, and love, one that none of them would trade for anything in the world.